Hey everyone, welcome back to Unicorn Dust Designs. My name is Sammy, and on this channel, I love to do upcycles, I love to thrift, I like to do unboxings, and right now I'm going to show you the top 10 spring DIYs that you should be trying in 2025. That is crazy to say. And if you're digging them, then make sure to subscribe because I will be coming out with new content soon, which I cannot wait to show you guys. I have so many ideas for like vintage Valentine. I don't necessarily like do just Valentine. I like to do transitional Valentine, you know, things that like you can keep out and work into your spring decor. So if you think that's something that you would like, make sure to hit the subscribe button, make sure that that bell is on, and y'all know the drill. If you're digging me, if you're digging the DIYs, if you are digging this channel, then like, subscribe, and comment, and let's go ahead and get into these 10 spring DIYs.
Now, this is a great way to use up 2x4 scraps. These were already stained. I think we use these for our booth too. I cut them down to random sizes, and I'm just going to take a bunch of molds that like I just had poured in my drawer, and I'm going to just figure out placement on them, what I want them to look like. These would be great for tiered trays, sitters. You guys, I'm a mess. And they'll be great to resell as well if you are in that market. These resin pieces I dyed with resin dye. All right, so for this one, I'm just going to show you what I did to all of them, but I'll make it kind of quick. So this one, we're going to paint it all one color. So I'm using my Tight Bond Quick and Thick and then my hot glue. We're going to attach those. These molds are from the Primitive mold, and I did restock all of my IOD products, and I added more in there. And y'all, that new release is coming next Friday, the 15th. So be on the lookout. All right, now I'm going to paint this with Skeleton Key, and then I'm going to coat it with Big Top. I decided to do a coat of Big Top because when I wipe back my white wax, I didn't want to run the chance of wiping back that Skeleton Key off of my molds. So once that completely dries, I'm going to go in with my white DIY wax and a chippy brush. I'm going to stipple that on and all around, and then I'm going to take a paper towel and we are going to completely buff that on out. Using wax to bring your details back out of a piece is such a great use for it because it really does show and feature the mold to the full extent. So, oh, actually I used a microfiber cloth. So in case you didn't know, the microfiber cloth is going to take off more wax than a paper towel would. So if you're ever like, oh my gosh, this is way too much, try grabbing a microfiber towel and that will help. All right, moving on to this little piece. Now, this bunny is actually from a Prima redesign mold. I got it off of Amazon. I don't even know. I'm sure it's still available, I would think. And again, I dyed this one with my resin dye. I'm just stippling on some wax over this, and I am wiping this one back, and you can see how that white wax just settles in all the little hairs of the rabbit. Now for this 2x4, we are going to go in with a apothecary, and I am going to coat the front, the back, the sides. I even do the bottoms, especially if you're going to resell something, y'all. Just finish it. Do it the right way the first time. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to let this dry. I only had to do one coat of the apothecary, and then I'm going to grab Whispering Willow. Or no, sorry. This is Painterly Florals. And you guys, I finally was able to order this and have it in stock. This is that like watercolor one that I used on last week's video. I have it in stock now. So I'm going to use these little lavender sprigs here. I'm going to cut the excess off, and then I'm going to put this bigger piece on the front, kind of letting it run over the sides. And then those two other little sprigs that I cut off, I am not going to put those to waste. I am going to use them. So I put those on the back just for a little added detail. And then I'm going to take that little bunny head and I'm going to adhere it to the front right here. This one was super simple, and you guys can go all out with these. Like you can add as much or as little as you want to. For oh, and then we have to seal our paint, of course. So the bunny we don't have to worry about, but that apothecary and that transfer we still have to seal up. So I'll seal that with clear DIY wax. For our third 2x4, this one, it's so funny. I always have to have an oddball because this one does not go with any of these other 2x4s. I am going to use this rooster. Then I'm going to cover the entire piece of wood with weathered wood. I should have just left it stained and then painted the rooster by itself, but it's all over and done with now. I'm going to take Pennies from Heaven, which is a copper liquid patina, and I'm almost going to like do a dry brush over the rooster so that I can bring out the details of it. Now, I am going to clear this with DIY's clear wax, and then one of y'all actually commented asking if I would use the shipwrecked wax, which is our teal wax. So we are going to bring that in to this DIY. So like I said, first I'm going to clear the entire piece. I wanted it to look still matte, so that's why I did not cover it with Big Top or liquid patina. And then I'm going to grab Shipwrecked and I'm going to stipple that on to the rooster. This is a great way of getting that old patina look. And after I am done with that, I'm going to take our paper towel and I'm going to buff that on out, and it's going to sit into all those details and be absolutely beautiful. Now, I did make this little fabric bow. Initially, I thought with this piece of wood, I was going to put the fabric through that like hole in the wood and tie a bow, but it wasn't sitting right. So this is what I decided to go with. And then after looking at a million buttons, I finally decided on one. And then as I was putting them away, I found this like metallic looking one. So it sat right in the middle of that button and ended up being so adorable. Now this is our last one. I don't know which one's my favorite. I think this one is. You guys let me know out of the 4 at the end when I reveal which one's your favorite. So I did 2 coats of crinoline on that. Then I'm taking UPCYCLES catalog paper. This paper, y'all, is great for those of you that are beginning with decoupage paper because the sheets are a lot smaller and easier to play around with. I'm going to take this frame. Look at how beautiful this resin dye is with the, ooh, I love that color. So since I'm using my decoupage paper, I'm going to paint the center of this white. After that dries, I did take my crinoline again and did a dry brushing around the frame so our details pop a little bit. I'm going to grab our liquid patina. No, wait, first we got to measure out our decoupage paper. So I'm just going to push that in, and with what little nail I have, I'm pushing that on the inside of our frame to get a quick measurement of our decoupage paper. And of course, I saved all the remnants of this little piece. I mean, there's still images on there I could use. And then I'm going to take a wet paintbrush and go around and tear this off. I like doing it this way versus cutting with the scissors because the scissors leave such a harsh line that if you do not get it perfect, it is very visible, especially like in the frames. So I feel like using the water and tear method just makes it look a little bit more seamless in there. So now I'm going to take my liquid patina and I am going to put a coat on the top half of this first, lay my decoupage paper on top, and then totally place that wrong. So we're going to lift that back up. And then I am just going to push that down and inside the lip of that frame. I'm going to work my way on down, and then I am also going to put a coat of that liquid patina on top of the entire image once it is complete. Now I'm going to take the Textures IOD stamp and we're going to put some crackle on there with the stone gray ink. Now, you can't see it very well right here, but when we do the reveal, you'll definitely see the crackle. It's very beautiful. I'm going to attach our little frame, and of course I couldn't stop there. I had to add something more. So I got this little, okay, well, first I'm waxing it. Then I add this little crystal knob. I put some Gorilla Glue on there, put it on the top, and it's so cute. It looks almost like a perfume bottle. So here's a reveal of all of them. Let me know out of the four which one is your favorite. So this was the Primitives mold with skeleton key. And then we have our Painterly Florals transfer with our bunny from the Prima mold. And I think this mold is in my Amazon store if it's still available. And we have the rooster, which I think is from the Fleur de Lis mold, maybe. And we used our shipwrecked wax. And then I think this one is doesn't it look like a perfume bottle? And you can see like the crackle on the edges, that beautiful resin dye. Gorgeous. Okay, I thrifted this beauty for $7.99 and 50% off. And although I did love the look, I thought I could sell it a little faster if I created a stone look with this. I also liked that kind of like mildewy look that was on here. So we're going to carry that out later. I'm going to take Gravel Road by DIY. This is the lightest of all the grays that we carry. And I'm going to mix my salt wash with it. And for those of you that are new, salt wash is an additive to paint, and it is going to create beautiful texture. So I always go in with a chippy brush, and I am stippling this on, but then I'm going to show you that as I start doing this, I created, this is going to sound weird, but I start slapping it. Okay. Yeah. Slapping it. I know it sounds weird, but I show you right here. It does create a different texture. So the next time you're playing around with your salt wash, just slap it on your piece, literally like slappy jaws. What movie is that from? I've said this before. So I'm going to carry that all the way up to the bird. And when this dries down, you guys, it is going to give it the most gorgeous stone look. And I love it. It turns out so gorgeous. Now that it is dried down, so you can see Gravel Road is on the left and Gravel Road is on the right. Sorry, Gravel Road's on the left, Letterpress is on the right. So very different from each other. I've been trying really hard to paint discs so I have a reference. All right. We are going to bring back that little bit of green that was in the piece originally. So I am taking water, a tad bit of Fancy Farm Girl, and I am going to apply this to the stone finish we've created. And I'm going to take my little water bottle. I got this from Dollar Tree. It's in like the travel pack section. And I am going to spritz that down. This is going to take a little bit more of like the green look away and give it a more natural look. I will say, however, as I started moving more towards the top, I was liking how it looked more when I allowed the water to drip down a little bit. It, one, made the green a lot lighter, and two, I think it made it look a lot more natural, because if this would be sitting out in the garden, it's probably more natural that it would drip down that way. So I made sure that I carried this all the way up to the bird, making sure it settled kind of like in those natural kind of grooves, like in the cracks on top of like the bird wing. And I love how this turned out. Next, we are going to grab DIY's clear wax. Again, I do carry all these products on my website, and I am going to put that over our entire piece. This is going to clear our piece, and then it's going to help us with our next step. Now, cover your ears if you don't like the N word, but we want to leave our wax moist. the next step that we do, we want the wax to still be moist. We are going to take dark and decrepit powder. And at first, I use my little like brush with it, but I found that actually going in with my finger and pushing it down into the clear wax made for a more natural look, and it also deepened up that dark and decrepit dust a little bit more. So you can see right here that I'm dabbing it on, and then I'm also rubbing it in. And I also line the entire bottom with it as well. Once you apply all of it, go ahead and grab another paintbrush, dust off that excess dark and decrepit dust, and you are done. So you'll see as I got up to the top, when I started allowing the water to like saturate and drip down, I feel like it looks a lot more natural. And then you can see towards the bottom where I wasn't doing it, it's a little heavier. But either way, I think this completely transformed this piece, and I think it's absolutely beautiful. I'm going to use a 1x6 and a 1x3. This is just a random size piece of wood. I just grabbed what I had. The 1x3s I did have to measure out. So we're going to take those 1x3s and we are going to cut them down to size. So what I do for that is I lay it next to the side. I will mark it off, and then I will draw my line as to where to cut. Now we're going to go cut that piece, and then we're going to come back, and then now I'm going to do the front. So our two sides are done. We're going to mark that off and then draw our line, and then I'm going to share a little pro tip.
Pro tip here. Wherever you cut your line, so this is the piece that I want up here, I want to cut below this cut line because you have to factor in the width of your blade. So if I were to cut directly on to my line or on the opposite side of this line, my piece of wood would be too short. That's what I accidentally did with this one, is I cut on the wrong side of the line. So I had to recut it because it didn't fit. So now I'm talking and I forgot what side it was. And this wood is not straight, so I need to cut on this side. It would be too easy for these to like match up, right? Way too easy. Hello. These, we're not gonna build a bathroom box, but these are great ways of building the toilet paper holder boxes. I have one in my bathroom right now. So this one's like a little longer, but we're good.
All right, now we are going to sand our pieces. I'm just using 400 grit sandpaper. These are nicer pieces of wood because they came from like our remodel. But usually if it's a rough piece of wood, I would do 80 grit and then 220 grit. Now we're going to put our box together. So I am using Titebond wood glue. I am going to glue them to our bottom piece of wood, the sides, and then we'll do the front. And I like to always cut the front longer than the sides because the front is what is usually going to be the front of your piece. We're going to clamp those. We're going to leave it to dry, and then we are going to bring it back inside. Now I'm just going to put in some nails. I put 2 on each side to attach all of those wood pieces together. And then on the back, I'm going to put a nail through the bottom to ensure that it is also connected to the wood on the inside. I'm going to attach our molds. This bunny, again, this is from the Prima Redesign mold. And I am going to attach it with our wood glue and our hot glue. And then I'm going to take these little floral bundles. I think these come from the Farm Animals mold. They have like little flower bundles in them, and then like hay sticks of hay. And I'm going to use these. These are actual candle holders. They come from the wood pile section at Hobby Lobby. And I'm going to attach them with wood glue and hot glue. Now, my preference would have been to use JB Weld on these because y'all, I mean, no matter if it's wood glue or not, if I were to drop my box, the legs would pop off. So I would say if you're going to sell, JB Weld is awesome for legs. I decided to do a custom color. So I mixed Petticoat Pink with Cowgirl Coral, and this is going to give us a soft peachy color. It turned out absolutely beautiful. We are going to just do one coat all over the box and the inside. And then we're going to take our DIY clear wax and we are going to coat the entire box. But we're going to do it in sections because we're going to apply white wax to this. So I am going to apply it, stippling it on, especially to push it down into the details of the mold. And then I carry it throughout the entire box. And I'm going to use a paper towel for that. Again, use microfiber cloth as well if you want to take more of that wax off. And then in the reveal photo, I'm actually going to show you it before any kind of wax is on, so you get an idea of what that paint color looks like dried down. But it came out absolutely beautiful. So this is before I applied the wax. The color is so soft. If you have Cowgirl Coral, then you know it is such a bright color. And Petticoat Pink is a super light, soft pink. So the combination of the two ended up being just what this box needed. And then here it is with the white wax pushed into all of the details. I love the little legs. They just make this box complete. And y'all, this is like a heavy duty box. It is heavy. I love how this came out. This next DIY project was inspired by Sparks of Joy Studio. She is a new content creator here on YouTube. I will leave her channel linked in the description box, so definitely go show her some love. I'm going to take these old drawer knobs that I took from an upcycle, and I'm going to take some Dollar Tree picks. I've had these picks forever. I am going to use my heat gun on this little butterfly because it was all bent up, and that heat is going to help relax those hard creases that have formed in the wings and loosen it back up. See that? Wonderful. Okay, so this was the bigger of the three. There was a big one and then two small ones. I'm going to fill this up with hot glue, and then for the bigger one, I actually stick 2 picks inside of there. And then this is when I realize, hello, these are rounded drawer knobs. So they don't stand up on their own. You know, sometimes you got to learn. So I continue on with it because something sparked an idea. And I am going to use these very wispy florals in the other two. And y'all, you can take whatever you want and this will be gorgeous. So I got this old piece of barnwood and I was like, we need these to stand up. So I took the old piece of barnwood and I am going to put all 3 of them on there. I couldn't nail them from underneath because the inside of the knobs have holes, so it wouldn't have made sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Titebond wood glue. I'm going to put that in the middle and then put a circle of hot glue around it and push that on to my piece of barnwood. I'm going to do the same thing for the opposite sides as well. And I thought this is where, you know, taking somebody else's idea and making it your own, that's what's so fun about being creative, because my style might not be your style, but you can take bits and pieces from them and make them your own. And I was really, really happy with how this turned out because it's not what I had imagined. I just thought I was going to use the knobs and be done with it. And then it turned into something completely different than Natalie's project. And I love it. We upcycled these old drawer knobs, a piece of barnwood, and it ended up being one of my favorite DIYs of this video. I'm going to take 2 different candlesticks. Y'all, your candlesticks do not have to match, okay? As long as you like them, mix them up and they will look just fine. pinky promise you. I'm going to take cake batter and French millinery for this video, and we're going to play around with the colors. So for this first candle holder, I am going to do a base layer of cake batter, and then I am going to let this completely dry. I'm going to take my second candle holder and we are going to put French millinery on it. You guys can already see how beautiful this color is. It's absolutely stunning. Okay, anyways, so after that dries, what I'm going to do is layer our colors on top of each other, and look at how pretty that cake batter looks while it's drying down. So I am going to apply 2 coats of the cake batter to this candle holder. Now, if you want to, you could apply big top before applying that second layer of paint. However, I didn't want to because I wanted to show you guys that it wasn't a necessary step you have to take, especially with using our clay-based paints. So I will say though, I did have to do 2 coats of yellow or cake batter on this one, which kind of caused a little hiccup later, but I will show you that when it comes. All right, so I'm going to grab now the cake batter one, and we're going to get French millinery and we're going to put it over it. If you guys are like, you're crazy, I promise, trust the process. Tell me down below in the comments if you love your nasty old chip brushes, because in this video I used a new one and I realized why I like these dingy ones, because the bristles no longer fall out of them. So I'm going to grab a baby wipe and I am going to start wet distressing this. Now, the more pressure you put down on to your candle holder or whatever item you're using, the more paint's going to come off. So I am using a pretty light pressure here because I just want that first layer of French millinery to come off to show the beautiful cake batter underneath. Now, if I wanted to, I could press a little bit harder and I could get down to the original candle holder's color as well and show 3 colors through. So that is why I chose not to do the big top in between. Now, when I came to this candle holder, because I had used 2 layers of cake batter, it was a little harder for me to get down to the French millinery. The DIY paints are clay based. They're super pigmented. So y'all, it was hard to say the least. So it kind of ended up making the French millinery kind of like look gray, kind of muddled, I guess, because I kept on having to wipe. Anyways, you guys, I am going to drill a hole in the top of both of these candle holders. That way it makes it easy for me to put my screw in. Now, let me show you my mistake here. It's not the glue, okay? We're going to put the glue on. I put Gorilla Glue and then hot glue. And then I'm going to take, you guys, what are these called? These little basket plates. They're like mini versions of like the bigger ones, you know? So I put these on and then I get the screw and I'm trying to put the screw through and I just make the biggest mess with my hot glue. Luckily, I was able to just peel it off. So what you should do is put your screw through first, then apply your glue, then get that screw in that hole that we made, and then screw your tops on. Yes, that is right. We are going to do that with both of them. And then I am just going to grab my clear DIY wax and apply that to my candles. I really wanted to keep that matte, lighter finish of the cake batter and the French millinery. So that's why I chose to use the clear wax instead. Now we are just going to accessorize them however you'd like. And look at that layering. I am totally digging the cake batter with the French millinery. And you guys, I only have 1 French millinery left, but I get my paint order on Thursday. So just be patient and wait for your girl. And you could see right here that French millinery didn't really come through. It almost looks gray, but you could still see the details. I love how they came out. It was something a little different. For our next one, we're going to take one of those 2x8s that I cut up last week. And I cannot claim that this was my original idea. I actually saw somebody at the Lewisburg Market Street have these, and I thought I would try my hand. So I think I'm going through a blue phase because I feel like I've been painting everything blue. I am using Pedal Pusher, and I have not used this in quite some time, but it is absolutely beautiful, dried down, and it is a perfect color for spring. So I'm just taking my chippy brush and I am going, sorry you guys, the little dog is barking like crazy. And I'm going to do a messy coat. The front and the back is stained, so it looks perfect. And look at how that looks dried down. Yes, ma'am. So we're going to dry that down. I'm going to take my texture stamp. And y'all, this stamp actually comes with 4 little like 6x6 sheets on it. And you get so much use out of this one. I'm going to use this bigger crackle. And this gives you the illusion like we applied like a crackle medium underneath our paint without actually having to do that. So I put it on the front, and since this is a shelf sitter, I am also going to put it on the top and the sides. I don't think it's necessary to put it on the back, but to each their own. And once I'm done with the crackle, I'm going to go into the butterflies stamp. I've actually never used the dragonfly in here. So we are going to just place that right on top of the crackle. The crackle didn't have very thick lines, so I felt like okay layering on top of it because those crackle lines did not show through the dragonfly or the butterflies that I'm going to put on here as well. I thought this was just a fun spring DIY. I know some of you have old hardware you can use, so this is going to be perfect for home decor and resell. Now make sure though, these butterfly stamps, some of them have little names on the bottom, so make sure you wipe those off with a baby wipe. I'm just going to screw our little cup pull in place. I got this also from Hobby Lobby, 50% off. And then we're going to take florals. You could use whatever florals you want. I am using these from Dollar Tree, and I am going to just play around with the placement first. Then I thought about taking the hot glue and kind of filling the bottom, but that was a sticky mess. I did try it. So I ended up just getting the stick of the flower at the bottom, applying the hot glue to the back of it, and then sticking it in there so that the floral would actually like adhere to the wood and not move around. Once that was to my liking, I grabbed a little bit of Spanish moss and put some hot glue down in there and then stuffed that down. This kind of like covered up all of like the gaps and the holes in like the cup pull, and then covered up the base of the stems, which I liked. And look at how cute this turned out. You guys, I can imagine this in so many different colors, so many different pools, flowers. I mean, the options are endless with this one. And I think that this would be a really, really great resale item, but I mean, home decor as well. So I hope you enjoyed this. I buy these boxes. If they are under $3, they're coming home with me because they are absolutely so easy to transform. You could put molds on them, transfers, paint them. I mean, options are endless. We are going to take White Swan. And I probably didn't need to do this step, but I will be using decoupage paper, and I always want my paper to pop on top of whatever surface I am using. So we are going to use one of these new decoupage papers that are new to my website. I believe this one is called Cherry Blossom. Now, I am going to basically take the entire bottom half of this paper because I want this to look continuous, that it is like wrapping around this box. And what was perfect is, see those like fold lines? Each one of those lines created 4 little squares, and it fit perfectly on my box. So I just had to cut where those lines were, and it was absolute perfection. So I'm going to take my liquid patina, which is our decoupage medium, and I am going to do a pretty heavy coat because this has a lot of texture like wood grains in it. And then I'm going to lay my decoupage paper on. And y'all, you can teach an old dog new tricks, because I don't know why it has taken me so long to try this plastic wrap hack of pushing down your decoupage paper with it. But I'm obsessed. Like, there was so much texture in this box that I knew I needed to really push my paper down. So I tried the plastic wrap, and sure enough, it did not rip my decoupage paper. It made it so nice and smooth. So this will definitely be at my craft table going forward. All right, so once that is dry, I'm going to sand in downward motions to get all of the excess off. You guys make sure that decoupage paper is dry before you sand, or you are going to rip your paper. Now we're going to go around the box, and I'm just trying to match up the images basically. Um, and I'm going to do that all the way around. You will be able to see in the next frame that it just looks continuous and looks so good. And you don't have to do that. Each side could totally be different. But you guys know I am like OCD about some things, and this is one of them. So I liked the image, and like you could see this big flower right there, how I connected it on the other side. So it looks like one image going around the entire box. Now that it's completely dry, you need to seal that decoupage paper on there. And this is also going to help all those places we sanded down on the corners and the edges. That is going to push down any like frayed sections, any paper that's lifting up, and it is going to complete this box. And y'all, we can use these boxes for everything, so do not skip out on them. I did a little vignette with a vintage book, some florals, a doily, salvaged wood. You could see the bird's nest in there. So options are endless. People could use this as a planter. And I love that you can take these boxes, you could take decoupage paper, and you can completely transform a piece. Let me know what you think in comments. Digging in my stash. These are items that like I've started or brought into the basement thinking I was going to DIY them, and then never did DIY them. So this, I believe, was a Hobby Lobby sign. I primed it with gray spray paint, and now I'm taking Apothecary, and I'm going to take my Little Dipper DIY brush. Y'all, I'm just not used to like using fancy things. I am so used to my chip brushes that I forget all about my nice brushes. So I'm trying to be more conscious of that and use them. So I'm going to take Apothecary, and I'm going to paint the sides, the top, and then the little like lip on the back of it as well. I'm going to do 2 full coats of this. I'm going to take another sign as well. This one I did on a live. I tried to paint inlay. It just did not work out. So we are painting over this one. I'm using White Swan. Again, I'm going to do 2 coats of this, painting on the front, the sides, and then I try to get down into those little slats as well. I'm going to be using the Birds and Bees stamp. Don't kill me, you guys. I do not have these in stock, but I am ordering next Wednesday. So please wait for your girl, okay? I am restocking, and there will be some other goodies. So I am going to lay out my stamps first. I love to see my placement before I commit. I'm using my IOD's black permanent ink, and then the little sheet I'm using is actually the Dollar Tree cutting mats that I cut up into smaller blocks, just for a little bit more ease in using the stamps. And again, you can see I like to lay them out. Then I pick it up with that little cutting mat sheet, press on my ink, and then I'm going to flip that on over. I'm going to hold it down with one hand, take my fingers with the other hand, and I'm really pushing that down to ensure that I get all of the beautiful details in this stamp, which fire. All right, so I couldn't leave it blank. So I'm going to take this stamp. It's from the Antiquity stamp. And I just want the wording on this. So I'm taking a baby wipe and I'm going to clean off all of like the little filigree part of it, or at least I thought I cleaned it all off. And I'm going to use this stamp on the bottom of my sign. Do I know what this says? No. Usually I look it up beforehand, but I did not here, but it still looks pretty. Now there was some leftover ink. Yep, see that? So I just took my baby wipe. I tried to clean that up as much as I could without wiping off my paint because I didn't seal it first. And then, of course, I needed something up top, so I'm going to use that butterfly stamp. And I'm not done. I'm extra like guacamole, y'all. You know this. So I am taking that bird stamp that's on the branch, and I am just putting ink on like the little leaf part and going around the frame and just put, I like detail. I think details, it's the little things that, just like add that special touch. And I'm going to take this second one. I know it's a little repetitive, but I just wanted to kind of show you my process. I'm going to take, this is also from the Birds and Bees stamp, and press that down. It actually still looked good even though there were slats in this piece of wood. And this piece of, not wood, MDF is from Dollar Tree. I'm going to lift that up, and then I'm going to use one of the bees from this same stamp set. And then I'm going to dip into the Antiquities stamps. This stamp set could be used for so many things, almost like crockery. They're nice and small, so you can use them on so much. But I decided to go with this round piece. I felt like it almost looked like one of those old wax stamps. Now I did move this around a little bit, so it kind of looks a little blurry, but nonetheless, they turned out great. I did wax both of these with clear wax. I just didn't show that. And I love how stamps are just such a very easy but like upscale way of turning thrifted decor, Dollar Tree decor into beautiful home decor. And I love how these turned out. They looked way better than they did before, and they were very easy. All right. Most of you guys probably see ugly planters at the thrift store all the time. Do not be scared of them, my friends, because we can completely transform them. I found quite a few at the thrift store, as I usually do, and these were just not my vibe. We had like I don't know what kind of green that is, and this one was all like scraped up. I think that's like a herb, not a flower. All right, I'm gonna take this butterfly mold from IOD, and do not get mad at me. I do not have this in stock. I actually didn't even know I had this mold. So when I order for that first quarter release, I will make sure to add this to my inventory. So I dusted it with cornstarch, and then I just wanted to show you all the different clays that I do work with. There's Iron Orchid Designs, DOS air dry clay, and the paper clay. And I haven't used clay in forever. My DOS was so hard, and I didn't have the time to like reconstitute it. So we moved to the IOD clay, and I'm going to push that in, and then I just push the excess out over the rim. Now, if you guys have been watching me for any amount of time, you guys know I used to despise using clay. And I really think that's because it was very time consuming for me because I didn't know how to use it. Now, after many, many practices, I have developed, like my method of doing it, and I can definitely see the value in using the clay molds. So practice makes perfect, my friends. Like, just keep on trying and working with it, and it'll get easier and easier. Now I'm just going to flip my mold over and peel it back, and those molds will pop right out. I take the little body off the bottom. I didn't like it. And now we are going to take the Titebond wood glue, and this is the Quick and Thick, and I'm going to brush it on. Y'all know I'm a messy crafter, but man, that wood glue, I cannot do it on my fingers. It gives me the heebie-jeebies. So After I apply it, keep in mind these molds are still wet. I'm going to push that into my pot. Now, you don't want to push so hard that you start losing the details of your mold, but you want to make sure that it's adhered to the surface. So for this bigger pot, I'm going to do 3 butterflies just right in the front of it. And then with the second pot, I think these are herbs. What do you guys think? Herbs, um, like thyme, you think? Anyways, we're gonna put 3 of these on, and then I am gonna tape them down because since I'm rotating my pot, I don't want those molds to shift while they are setting up. So after they set up, and with the quick and thick type on, it literally takes like a few minutes, and then you can start playing around with it. Now, my molds, again, they are still wet, and when you paint over them wet, it's going to be less likely that your molds are going to crack. So for that one, I did 1 coat of cake batter. And for this one, I'm going to do 2 coats of the French millinery. Now, I like to use a chippy brush when I am doing this because those bristles get into all those details without me having to push my paintbrush into the molds, causing a chance of losing those details. So I decided I was going to clear my paint with Big Top. Don't know why I chose Big Top, but I think it's because of this. I decided to put white wax over the entire surface of the pot. So I'm just brushing it on and then stippling it on the molds, getting a microfiber cloth, wiping that excess back, as well as wiping the excess like that I had put all over the pot. That way, all of that wax just settles in all of the beautiful details, and then it also lightens up your paint color. So you guys, I could not get these 2 to sit side by side because the other one was, its little leaves were everywhere. So we're going to show you one by one. But you can see how beautiful these butterfly molds are. They're so whimsical, very spring, and it's definitely a mold that you can use on so many different projects. But what a cute way to take some dated old pots and make them something new again, make them your style. And if you're somebody that, owns a booth or anything, these are just great little adds to your booth, especially, having greenery in there. Here's a piece that I actually upcycled for Christmas. I never ended up putting it in my booth or or my website. So we're going to flip this. I'm going to take Little Black Dress and I'm going to take some salt wash. I felt like the molds that I had put on here weren't like Christmas specific, but I did put glitter on those molds. So that is why at first I decided to go with the salt wash texture so that I could hide that glitter because it would have shown through on like a smooth paint job. So I'm taking one of my cheap chippy brushes and we are going to stipple that salt wash mixture onto this planter. Your salt wash is going to add a ton of texture. However much you put in there is how thick it's going to be. All of those little ridges that I'm creating when I stipple on, those are going to dry rock hard and give you just so much depth. I'm going to do this all the way around my planter. Once it is dry, look at that. You see that textured? It is yummy. All right, now we're going to take this old apothecary. You guys, I've had this for probably 2 years. There's clay chunks in there. Ooh, so good. And I'm going to take this DIY paint frosting. I have a few of them on my website. I didn't over order because I didn't know if you guys would buy it or not. So this is going to help thicken that other remaining paint that's in there. It's going to help thicken that paint. So I'm going to take about 5 drops of this. You guys, if you're using like a fresh container of paint, pour it in a separate bowl and then pour your frosting in there. Let it set for about 10-15 minutes and you'll see your paint thicken up like a milkshake almost. So once I got the texture I wanted, I'm going to take one of these spatulas. They come in like a 3-pack at Dollar Tree. And I'm going to spread that over the black salt wash. Now I am getting those clay chunks in there as well. I want this to look weathered, like there's tons of layers on there. You can see like the clay chunk right there. I'm kind of just like breaking it up and I am pushing it in there super hard. But like I want the layers. I want it to look bumpy and chippy and all that goodness. But this is where you guys just have to have fun with it. You just got to let it go. Let it go. No, we won't do that. But I'm going to slow it down right here so you can see. You see the clay chunks there? All I'm doing is getting that and I'm pushing down really hard. You're not going to hurt the salt wash. Salt wash ain't going nowhere. So push down on that hard clay and it's going to create so much more layers for you. And the frosting is creating a thicker paint base as well. Once that's all dry, I'm going to take White Swan and put a coat. Now I've been watching a lot of Debbie's Design Diary and she does a lot of furniture. She has been doing a technique which she learned from someone else and I really want to try it. However, I couldn't commit to trying it on a piece of furniture first, so we're going to try it on a smaller piece like this. So she does those steps that I just did. I don't think she doesn't use salt wash though. And then while the paint is wet, she goes over and we're going to spritz it. Then I'm taking a paper towel. She uses a more like textured actual like towel and I am patting the I guess the white off. As I was going through the process though, I learned that like if I kind of twisted the paper towel as I was like dabbing, I would get a little bit more texture and it looked a little bit more like a natural worn effect. I hope y'all are picking up what I'm putting down. But this turned out so good. I cannot wait to try this on a piece of furniture because the amount of layers that you see in it, it just like blows me away. But we ain't done. We're never done here because I like to add too much stuff to my pieces. So I'm going to take my typesetting stamp. I do have this one in stock. And I'm going to lay this out first. You guys, lay your stamps out first. I cannot stress that enough because if I wouldn't have, I swear everything I wanted to put on here did not fit at all. So I could only imagine if I would have just went for it and then there was like Bloom HER. Yeah, no, wouldn't work. So I'm going to take my stamp mount and I decided to go with like Bloom Co. And I'm taking my black ink and I'm kind of putting it on heavy because we have a lot of texture here. And when I put my stamp on, I'm going to press hard, you guys. And I'm doing this because of all that texture. I want that ink to get inside all of those little like bumps and grooves. You can go light with it. It's up to you. I'm going to complete the OO right there. And then I'm going to take my sanding block and sand that down. I want to keep with the distressed here. And that made it look like even yummier, you guys. I did clear this with my DIY clear wax. And look how delicious this is. Look at all of the layers on there. That black, the apothecary, the like chunkiness of the paint. You can see where those tough like clay pieces were and where I sanded over them. I cannot wait to try this on a piece of furniture. This might not be everybody's style, but why I'm going to take more of the 2x8. Again, this was another shelf from the booth and I just cut it up into different size blocks. Now, if you've been on my channel for any amount of time, then you know I like to recycle my throw pillowcases from my couch. So this is just from a pillowcase. I'm going to cut it down to size. Now, this isn't like a burlap or anything like that. So I have to pull the thread apart on this with my weeding tool. But you know what? it works. It does. I'm going to break into the Whispering Willow transfer, and y'all, this is the most perfect transfer for spring and summer, and it has tons of birds in it. So definitely grab a booklet. I do have it in stock. I finally decided to use this bunny, and you guys, the transfers adhere to almost any and every surface. I did not apply anything to this fabric. I am putting the transfer right on top and then pushing our transfer down just as we usually would. We're also going to burnish it and push that down into the fabric. And then I thought I was missing something. So I'm going to take the Millets pages, and they have this. That booklet has a little bit of everything, but I wanted a butterfly. I thought it needed a little something in that upper left corner. So I'm going to apply the butterfly, and then we still need to seal this transfer. So I am going to do a light coat of liquid patina. You do not need to oversaturate this where your liquid patina is going through the fabric, just a light coat. Once it is dry, I'm going to lay it back on top of our piece of wood and put the lightest strip of hot glue. This is going to hold it in place. Don't go overboard or that glue is going to come through your fabric. And then I'm going to take those furniture pins once again, and I'm going to hammer them into all four corners. And this was such an easy way of utilizing some scrap wood. And you can do these with all different transfers, stamps. I mean, options are absolutely endless. Even a decoupage napkins onto the fabric would work. Don't mind me, I forgot to stain the sides before doing the reveal. But I hope you guys enjoyed all of these wood.
Hey, you guys. I know. I am like so inconsistent, and I am so sorry. You guys know the tea. Okay, you know the tea. I'm home with Mickey. Now it's snowing, so all the kids have been home. 2 weeks before it started snowing, Montgomery was home, super sick, and she had surgery on her nose. And then Mickey got sick, Everett was sick, I was sick. So it has been a whirlwind, you guys. I swear one day we will be consistent again. But I have so many ideas, you guys, like for vintage, Easter, Valentine's Day, using fabrics, using old items, using junk, all of it. So make sure that you hang out with me. I have been doing unboxing videos on, I think, Wednesdays, from things that I'm getting from Whatnot. And then if I ever like do thrift with me videos, those will be on those days too. And then I'm still trying, you guys, my hardest to put out new content on Saturdays. I'm trying. Okay. So I hope you guys had a fabulous, I hope you brought the new year in good. No, I don't know what I'm saying. You guys aren't picking up what I'm putting down, because neither am I. I hope you guys are starting your year off great. It is 2025. The word for this year is pivot. And I am all about figuring out what is next. And I am motivated, and I'm happy, and I'm going to stay positive. And I hope you guys are too. All right, you guys, I will see you on, I don't know when I'm putting this out. If I can, I might put it out on Sunday, like today, if it uploads and doesn't take forever. But if not, then it'll be next Saturday. All right, bye, you guys.